So what I'm going to use to make this molded bowl, you're going to want to have some slip and a paintbrush or your finger, depending on what you like to use. That's for joining any pieces that you're going to be joining together. Pin tool is always handy for carving and cutting. If you're using slab, you'll need a metal rib. Any cookie cutters if you want to make some shapes inside of your bowl, and plastic wrap. So the first step when you're making a molded bowl is you want to line the bowl that you choose with plastic wrap. The reason that we do this is so that the clay doesn't stick to the bowl. If it sticks to the bowl, it's going to want to crack as it dries and your piece is going to be ruined. So make sure that you line your bowl with plastic wrap. For this project you need to use a large bowl, not a small bowl. So one of the green, pink, or clear larger bowls will be fine. I'm going to just put in another sheet here just to cover the parts of the wall that are still exposed. When you press your pieces into the bowl, you're going to end up with a plastic texture on one side. So as your piece is drying and it becomes leather hard, that's when you can remove it from the bowl and then use a damp sponge to get rid of that plastic texture on the outside of your bowl. So there's my bowl fully lined in plastic. I'm going to show you 3 different methods that you can make this molded bowl. I'm going to start out with slab. So if you want to see a demo on how to throw a slab, go back to one of the other videos on how to throw a slab. So I've used the metal rib on both sides of this slab, and I'm just going to coax this slab inside of the bowl. It's going to start to fold up on itself, and it may try to pull down the plastic. Just best you can, try and coax it down into the bottom of the bowl. I'm going to use a wire cutter and just straighten out the edge of the bowl. I'm cutting off the excess clay around the rim. So that it looks like this. From this stage you could use your wire rib and smooth out the inside texture of the surface. You don't want to use a wet sponge here because too much water will weaken the surface and potentially cause cracks in the bowl as it's drying. I've seen lots of pieces fall apart that way. So that's potentially one way that you could make your molded bowl. Once you have this slab base for your molded bowl, another thing you could do just to make it a little bit more decorative is to carve into your piece. So I'm just going to carve some rectangular shapes out of my piece. One thing, if you are going to use this method to carve out your molded bowl, you don't want to have the spaces in between the cutouts be too thin, because then that's a place where your clay is going to crack as it dries. Because as it dries, it's going to shrink. So any place where it dries more quickly will shrink first, and then you're going to end up with cracking in your piece. So if you are going to do this method, make sure that you cut out spaces that are far enough apart that you won't get that cracking. So this is a good distance, about 1 centimeter, maybe a little more.